Good day, all stock market traders and investors. This is Total Investor. On this YouTube investment channel, what we do is that we find stock opportunities that have certain particular trading patterns that are either bullish or bearish, and we use technical analysis to determine that. And I bring them to you, and of course, you decide what to do from there. Keep in mind, this is strictly an educational channel, and everything I say should be thought of as such and should not ever be thought of as financial advice. Okay. Today we have just a wrap-up of the general market and also a few stocks that I want to discuss on their patterns. Nothing really great to talk about. I will tell you that ahead of time. But please, I think it is important to watch this channel, or this video specifically, from beginning to end. That way you get to see all of the charts and all the patterns, and you'll see what goes through the mind of someone who looks at technical analysis. Also, it is to your advantage that you subscribe to this channel, so just please click on the subscribe button and YouTube will notify you whenever I post a new video. Okay, so let's start off with the very first one, and that is the general market, S&P 500. We're looking at the spiders. SPY is a stock symbol. This is a 6-month chart, and we've got a high of just over the 400 level. It goes all the way up to 460, so a nice return for those who got in at the bottom, and all you had to do is really just follow the 50-day moving average. That has been very reliable, very often. Certainly, to beat that is that works on many stocks, but primarily very good for like ETFs and the general market. Okay, because those are not very erratic stocks, if you will. In this case, I drew two lines that I want to call to your attention from here, which is a bottom that it made in mid-June, okay, that it touched several times, once, twice, 3 times, went through, and then touched it again as resistance. Okay, so first it was support sloping upwards, broke it once here in late September, came back to test it just recently. So now this confirms that this is resistance level, okay? And that is confirmed by both moving averages, the blue, which is the 50-day, and the green here, in this case, the 10-day, okay? So the stock market, S&P 500, is down, is really having some problems here. Obviously, the major one is because interest rates are rising, okay? So we've got it below the 50, below the 10, below resistance level. The RSI down below the 50 level. We're in bearish territory. It found resistance at its downtrend line, and it even the stock also had some problems up here. So not a whole lot of good news here. The only small thing that I can tell you that there's maybe a little bit of positive here short term, and that is we've got some support at around the 420 level, okay, which was previously support over here back in I believe that was early October when it hit that a couple of times. Okay, so maybe Monday we might have a bounce, maybe Tuesday, I don't know. Maybe it's wishful thinking. We'll have to wait and see. But that's about as good as I can tell you in the meantime. So that is the S&P 500 for now. Again, as I mentioned to you several times, no matter how bullish you are on certain individual stocks, if the broader stock market has a problem that is bearish, you're going to have a hard time with those individual stocks, even though they look bullish. It doesn't mean that they can't make money, that they can't appreciate in value. They certainly can. They just might not appreciate as much. Okay, so please keep that in mind. You got to look at the general market as a whole first, then you can start picking your individual stocks if you choose to do so. But again, lots of bearishness in this particular stock. The next one is the NASDAQ, QQQs, okay? Somewhat similar pattern. We've got support here from the June lows, straight across, a slight upward tendency here. Support, keeps on touching it. And where are we right now? Well, we're right on support, okay? Again, looking at the 50-day moving average tells you a lot. Sloping upwards, then it moves sideways as the market consolidates here. What are we doing now? As of, what, almost a month? It's been sloping downwards, okay? So the QQQs are below the 50. They're also below the 10-day. Not good. And the RSI, downward trend. We're down in the negative territory here. So nothing good. Again, the only small positive is that we are on support. Okay, so that's the only thing that I can say. Maybe we'll get a bounce on Monday or Tuesday, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. Okay, so QQQs bearish for now. Finally, we get to the stocks. The first one is Alpha Tech Holdings, ATEC. We've got a high here of just over $19 back in mid-July, and it had a real problem. It's been down since. Downward trend, found support at 13.5. So we're talking what, $5.50. Bounces up from there, $5.50 from 16.5, 11. Close enough. That was a target. Okay, based on this pattern. It exceeded that slightly in a couple of days, but close enough. So right now, what do we do? Well, we're looking at the chart. Sorry, the price did break below this trend line just last week. Okay, so that was a positive. We're up above the 10-day moving average. That's a positive. RSI, downtrend line, it broke that. We are now just hairs away from the 50 trigger line. So that was somewhat positive. We're getting in the right direction. And it just broke what was resistance level on Friday. So that is looking very constructive. Unfortunately, we've got the general market that is holding us back. If we get a bounce in the general market, well, maybe this could be the start of something good. Okay, so this one should go on your watch list. ATEC, ATEC. Next, Digi International, DGII. This thing had a real problem. Made a nice high back in, what was that, early August, $43. Crashed, came back down. I think we finally may have hit a bottom here at around the $24 level. Just using the 10-day moving average. We do need this. It's still very, very early on for this particular stock. It has to move. There has to be a lot of movement here for it to break not just this trend line, but also the 50. Okay. Good news is we've got some short-term movement, it breaking above the 10-day moving average, and the RSI breaking above its downtrend line. Okay, but still a long way to go. So it's still very early on, but I think that once we break, we've got an initial resistance at 29 and 30, and then we can move up from there. So this is just going on the watch list that needs a lot of work still. DGII. Meta Platforms, META, or Facebook as most people know it. I've told you many times about divergences, primarily bullish divergences. Well, here's one that is bearish divergences. Okay, this one made its initial high back in late July, and we see another high just fairly recently. This was just over the previous week. So the stock makes a higher high, but what does the RSI do? It does not. It makes a lower high. That gives us a warning signal that the stock may be changing trends, okay? Or at least the trend will end. Doesn't mean it's going to go lower, but at least it won't be not going higher. And it has fallen off since then. The RSI has fallen. It is below 50 now. We're at 48. It's below the 10-day moving average and just a bit above the 50-day moving average. So this is, again, a strong warning to shareholders of Meta. Okay, META may want to go lower. Again, we need the market as a general market, specifically more the technology sector, QQQs, to perform well, and it is not. So until that changes, it looks like this is going to have some problems, Meta. Next is NVIDIA, NVDA. This, I want to draw your attention to the $400 level. Was initially resistance. Several times it finally broke above that, and as always does most of the time, it comes back to test it once it breaks through. So it broke through, then it became support here, a bounce, support again, a bounce, support again, a bounce, and we're close to support again. Will it bounce or will it break? Well, this time we've got the general, the trend of the RSI is downwards, touched resistance, came back down, we're into negative territory. The stock is below the 50-day moving average. It's sloping downwards and below the 10-day moving average. So we might have a problem here if it doesn't bounce off of that and breaks below. So be careful on NVIDIA here. Next, Tandem Diabetes Care, TNDM. Stock has been down since it made a high back in late July. All the way from 36.5 down to 16. A big haircut, but maybe we got some good news. The stock has touched this downtrend line a couple times. Finally broke it this week. So finally we got a little bit of good news. It is now above the 10-day moving average. Still needs some work here. The RSI broke above its resistance. Yes, above its resistance line, and we are at 44. Where will it go from here? Unfortunately, we've got the volume that came off a little bit, so that is not what you want to see if you're thinking that this is going to be a bottom. You want it to start moving up, so that there's some accumulation going on. We don't have that, and so this one is going to need some work. If we can get it with some good volume and RSI picks up above 50, might be something interesting to look at. At the moment, just on the watch list, just keep on watching it, maybe for a week or two, see what happens, and go from there. TNDM. And finally, Tesla. Okay, this is a stock that had, a lot of people have it as their favorite. Had a nice move from the 150 level all the way up to 300. A nice double in just a couple of months. Fantastic return. But it's been experiencing some problems as of late. Okay, so since June the 5th, it's just been basically up to sideways here. We're now right back where it was, and we are now on support. Okay, 211, give or take, could be $1, either way. But we're now on support. Okay, it is below the 10-day moving average and below the 50-day moving average. Not what you want to see. RSI bounced off resistance a couple times. We're now at 27, negative territory. So nothing good here. Again, it has to find some kind of support for it to hold. There's nothing really, what's below this? Well, not a whole lot. We've got maybe 180 level, maybe 160 after that. So unless we get some good news in the general market, maybe it'll be interest rates holding for at least temporarily for the market to turn up. But unless we see something, Tesla is going to have some issues. Okay, so that is what I have to say for these stocks at the moment. Hopefully, we'll get some good news the next week, and we'll just take it one day at a time. So again, please, if you can, subscribe to this channel. So hit the subscribe button, a big thumbs up, and comments. I want to hear what you have to say about this particular video or any particular stocks, what you want me to talk about. and we'll go from there. Okay, so having said that, I will see you in the next video. Take care.